episode of the Blood Whistle podcast. Today is our combat special here with Black Gatsby and myself, Yannick Noir. What we're going to do, we're going to cover the boxing and UFC, right?
Yeah, just boxing and UFC.
Okay, well, we're going to go through the boxing and UFC today. Julie's going to give a rundown. I'm just going to be here asking questions. All right, let's go.
So we'll start off with the boxing. I think the biggest news that you've got right now is that they're doing a rematch of Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev. Like, the first fight was so controversial. People were losing their shit about who won. I had Ward winning, but tons of people had Kovalev winning.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that was very controversial. Yeah.
So tons of people had Kovalev winning. Ward has basically spent fight was in November, the last few months having to tell people how he won the fight. He's now, they agreed for June 17th, and in the fight now, in the build up to the fight, or since it's been announced that it was announced yesterday that they're gonna rematch. Andre Ward's just been like, Andre Ward's he's named Son of God, and he's really a church man. He's cool, quiet, calm guy. This guy's been on karate. He's telling man, don't come with no excuses.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. He laid out all these titles and whatnot.
I earned it. Yeah, he's laid his titles out. Like, he's basically said, to be fair, Kovalev has been bitching. Like, if it was the other way around and Andre Ward is moaning the way Kovalev has been, then you know the way people would be talking, innit? But it's going to be an interesting one. I think I would go with Ward again. I think the first fight he showed Kovalev a bit too much respect. Obviously, he got dropped, but I think as it's a rematch, he's going to know where he went wrong in the first fight. If he did go wrong, where to make the fine tuning of his game plan. I think I'll go with Ward. But Kovalev, like we saw in that first fight, has that one punch power that he can turn your lights out. You can change the fight with just a single punch. So it's going to be a close one. But I'm inclined to go with Ward. Hasn't lost a fight since he's like 12 years old. So why not?
So Ward really is. Was easy. Right, if you want to rank the top boxers in the world right now, if you're going with pound for pound or whatnot, where is he?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because Golovkin hasn't looked convincing for like his last two fights.
Yeah, he struggled in his last fight.
He struggled. A lot of people thought he lost against Danny Jacobs. Ward hasn't looked great. Well, he didn't look superb, or he didn't look as good as he normally looks against Kovalev. Chocolatito lost his last fight. So that leaves, let's say, your Canelos and your Lomachenkos in terms of who should be number one. I'd still have Andre Ward as number one. Okay. Simply because he moved up in weight, won the light heavyweight crown, beat one of the best fighters in the world to win it, despite certain people thinking he didn't win. Lomachenko, ridiculous skills, winning belts at different weights. He's only had like 7 or 8 fights now. So he definitely has to be there. I think Canelo comes into the argument. He's a crazy fighter. Like I was discussing on Twitter the other day in terms of like his combination punching, his body work, that kind of stuff. And he definitely gets a shout, but he's got a tough fight with Julio Cesar Chavez coming up as well. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. But I'd say I'd put Ward at number one.
Okay, cool.
But there's not much really happening in boxing right now. We're still waiting to see whether Mayweather will fight McGregor. There's a couple of decent fights coming up. Obviously, you've got Kell Brook announcing that he's fighting at Bramall Lane against Errol Spence. I want Errol Spence to win that, and I don't know whether me wanting him to win is clouding my judgment in terms of saying that he will win it. Nothing much has really been announced, but
when's Klitschko Joshua?
That would be 4 weeks now.
4 weeks.
So April 29th.
Is there really it's not going to be the fight everyone expects to see.
Like, simply because Klitschko is an older Klitschko now. Do you know what I mean? But the thing, what I will say about the fight is, Joshua is the kind of fighter that Klitschko enjoys. Okay. He's big, comes in straight lines, stands in front of you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We haven't ever seen anyone make him move his head. If Klitschko lands on him, he hurts him, and pretty badly as well. Because we saw Dylan White, who can't crack an egg, couldn't bust a grape in a food fight. He rocked him with a left hook. Like, really rocked him. I mean, it's that thing in it at heavyweight. Everyone's big, so everybody carries power. But Dylan White, we've seen him beat up David Allen for 10 rounds, didn't put a dent in him. One left hook had Andy Joshua all over the place. So if Klitschko lands that straight right or that left hook, he could really damage Joshua. But I'm looking at it in terms of Joshua's age, his youthfulness, his athleticism could cause Klitschko problems. And also, Klitschko has been known to be a bit dodgy in terms of his chin as well. So it could go that way as well. I proper don't know who to pick for that one. Simply because I go with Klitschko and say what happened against Tyson Fury was a one-off, and you wouldn't see and Joshua pulling off similar tactics. Like he wouldn't be so. I don't even know how to describe what Tyson Fury did. He was just so unorthodox, and it's like Klitschko had never seen a fight like this before.
Caught him off guard.
Yeah,
it's one of the ones that, you know, game plan went out the window. He didn't know what to do.
And that's what Tyson Fury does. Like he'll come into a fight and you'll see him sparring and training and everything and be fighting orthodox. Then he'll turn up on the night and he'll fight southpaw. And people think like Tyson Fury is a poor fighter or nothing, but he's one of like technically, he's sound and his game plans are sound as well. We saw him do it to Derek Chisora, where he fought southpaw for the whole fight, battered him. Do you know what I mean? So. I don't know which route to go with this one. I'd say, if you forced me, I'm going towards Joshua, innit? But blasphemy for some people, I don't know. But I'm leaning towards Joshua.
Okay.
I think the most exciting thing in terms of combat sport right now is the DC Cormier rematch that's taking place on Saturday at UFC 210. Finally happened after it got cancelled the first time. It's crazy. Like I was writing notes in terms of what I really wanted to say, and there's so much to talk about in terms of the actual fight. Simply because there's so much to discuss. Like you could talk about the first fight and how the first fight went. What happened in the build up to the second fight? The second fight getting cancelled. What's been said in the run up to this second fight anyway? What's happening now on embedding the stuff they're saying? There's so much to go through. The thing that people always say when it comes to rematches and fights is revenge or repeat. Will the guy that lost get revenge, or will it be a repeat of the first result? And I'm leaning towards repeat. I think Cormier is. I don't want to act like I've bought into what Cormier said to me, but let's run through the whole thing. So in the first fight, let me give you a run on who they are first. Actually, so in your first fight, you've got DC Daniel Cormier, light heavyweight champion, first man to hold the belt since John Jones. Since he had to he got stripped of the belt for extracurricular activities. Supreme wrestler. I post these videos all the time of him just ragdolling people and like people that shouldn't get ragdolled. I've seen him high crotch slam a guy that's like 6'4", 6'5" in Gustafsson. You've seen him mash up Dan Henderson, who's also a top level wrestler in himself. You've never seen that before. Like supreme wrestler, and he carries his weight. Like he fights at 205, but he looks like he weighs at least 400 pounds. He looks fat, but his cardio is decent as well. Like he can go.
Yeah, he does. He's such a. He's got the position of a man who's just like, you know.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it when you look at him. Yeah. So and then you've got Rumble. Now Rumble is UFC's boogeyman. Like Rumble looks like the kind of guy that he flicks you in the face and you're getting knocked out, or you might get knocked out. If he punches you in the face, you're getting knocked out. There's no two ways about it. Like we've seen him. In his 3 fights since fighting DC, he's knocked out all 3 opponents. They're all top level guys as well. He's knocked out Jimmy Manuwa, who's on a decent run right now, English guy. He's knocked out Ryan Bader, and he's also knocked out, what's his name? Brazilian. It's just completely left my head. It's left my head. Anyway, he's knocked out his last 3 opponents. It's crazy because you look at him and you know that if he lands, he's going to cause problems, innit?
Yeah.
And you just think to yourself, can he cause those problems with a DC? So we saw in the first fight, he hit DC, he hurt him, had him wobbled, dropped him. But the fact is, he did all that, but he didn't get him out of there. So he's hurt DC, DC's got up, and then DC's basically taken his best shots and broken his heart. And it's what happens in boxing, it happens in most combat sports. If you can take your opponent's best shots, they start thinking to themselves, oh, can I really do this now? And they start wobbling, and it gets a bit tense for them. So in the first fight, we saw it, he broke his heart. Then he choked him, he made him tap. And one of the interesting things that was said in the run-up to the second fight about the first fight is DC was saying that he heard Rumble's corner saying to him, don't quit. And that's a massive thing as a fighter. Like, why would your corner be telling you not to quit? Have they seen you quit before? Are you a quitter? Is this something you tried to hide from us? So there's a lot of importance that comes from that first fight, simply because we've seen Rumble crack under the pressure before. We've seen DC take Rumble's best shots. Obviously, Rumble's improved, but can he hurt DC again? If he hurts DC, can he finish him? Can DC take Rumble's best shots? The same again. So it's nuts. A lot of people are picking Rumble to win this fight. I'm still going with DC, like I said. But Rumble's going into the fight in better form. Obviously, like I said, he's won his last 3 fights. It's really going to bother me that I forgot this guy's name. Seriously. I watched it in the 40-40 club. I watched it knockout in the 40-40 club. What's his name?
It's Google for us, man.
Google it for me, please. Completely forgot his name. Brazilian. Glover Teixeira, that's it. Glover Teixeira. So he's knocked out Glover Teixeira, knocked out Bader, knocked out Manuwa. So he's got into fight in good form. Since their last fight, DC has fought twice, and I think he went split decision with Gustafsson, which was a sick fight, crazy fight. Like I said, the high crotch slam was nuts. And then he also beat Anderson Silva. It was a unanimous decision, but it was lackluster. People were booing. Like, people were really pissed off with the fight. And so you'd go into the fight, you'd say Rumble's in a better position. I could see why people might pick him, simply because, like I said, he's got that one-punch knockout power. It's the same thing with Golovkin. People pick him because they know if he hits you, he's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Same thing with Joshua. A lot of people think that the second Joshua lands on someone, he hurts them. So a lot of people are picking him. Rumble has made a big point of saying how he's improved as a fighter as well. He's improved his wrestling. But how much can you really improve your wrestling in that space of time, especially because he's been training for DC? Like, it's like when people say I've improved my cardio. You can't improve your cardio to an extent that will improve you as a fighter in the space of 2 months, 3 months. Do you know what I mean? It's a long process. How much has he learned as a wrestler? That's gonna make a difference against an Olympic level wrestler in DC. Saying that, he's done well against wrestlers before. He did well against Phil Davis, but Phil Davis again is in DC. And one of the things about DC is that not only is he a dope wrestler, but like we said, that weight he carries. So DC will slam you to the floor, or wrestle you to the ground, then just sit on top of you and make you carry his weight.
Could just tire you out.
That's exactly what happened in the thing with the Rumble fight in the first fight. He just carried his weight, tired him out, and eventually took his neck, made him tap.
He seems like an awkward opponent because of his stature.
Yeah.
And is he shorter?
He's short and stocky. He's like my height.
Yeah, so that's why.
But you're seeing him fight, and the maddest thing is he fights at like heavyweight, but we've seen him fight at heavyweight before, and we've seen him ragdoll heavyweights as well. So it's like, what do you do with him, kind of thing? And it's like what we were saying about Khabib when we were talking about Khabib if he faces Conor thing. The second he gets hold of you, there's a UFC tweeted it the other day. It's fair to say that once DC gets that single leg, somebody's going for a ride, and they show him just ragdolling big people, small people, everybody. Do you know what I mean? And it's nuts simply because you look at it that if he grabs Rumble, is Rumble gonna survive getting slammed? Him sitting on top of him, holding his weight, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Has his cardio improved? Because that's one thing people say about Rumble as well. His cardio isn't great. Like, if he doesn't knock you out early, he's gonna go himself. Yeah. Like, he gassed out against DC. That Joe Rogan was saying, I'm not too convinced with seeing Rumble here doing deep breaths with his mouth open, and it's weird, isn't it? Like, Rumble is so fierce, but DC made him look sort of like a kitten, like he's there breathing, mouth open, he's bleeding, and you look at this guy and you think, is this the guy that everyone's meant to be scared of? And it changes the whole complexion of the fight. DC also said that he questions Rumble's mental strength. And when you keep questioning someone's mental strength as well, it makes you think, you've lost to this guy before, what makes you think you can beat him this time? And it wasn't like, oh, there was a single mistake in it, like when Chris Weidman lost to Luke Rockhold. Yeah. He went for that spinning kick and he got caught and then he got ragged down. It was a simple mistake that took him down, like made him lose the fight. He was comprehensively beaten. Like he gave his best. DC took it and then he comprehensively beat him. Do you know what I mean? So it's crazy, but I don't know. I'm going with DC. It's an important fight again, simply because John Jones is back in the summer. And once he gets back, basically he fights whoever's next.
It's so crazy. He can come back. John Jones come back and then just
pick the title up again. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's a funny thing as well, because I was speaking to G-Day about it, and G-Day said as well that this is Rumble's last shot.
Yeah.
If Rumble loses now, basically he's done. He's had his 2 shots at the title. He's done. But the thing is, if DC beats him, then John Jones comes back and beats DC. Then it sets up Rumble versus John Jones again, because that's the fight everybody wanted to see anyway. Before Rumble started messing about. Is that
more of a better matchup? You think than Jones DC?
I think Rumble stands a better chance against John Jones than does against DC.
Is it simply because of Jones has got the reach?
Jones will stand up.
Yeah.
And Jones is stand up and he's there to be hit. Same way DC's there to be, because he got hit in the first fight. But I just think DC wrestling is of such that he knows he can take you down and just grind you out. Whereas I don't think Rumble would be as affected as John Jones taking him down and sitting on top of him. But like you said, John Jones is so awkward in terms of his fighting. Like they call his fighting style looks see do. So he looks, he sees, he does it. He isn't a master of anything. He's got good wrestling, got good BJJ, good striking, but he's not a master of none of these things. But he's good at all of them. Do you know what I mean? So he can see something and pick it up straight away. And if he stands and strikes with Rumble, he might get knocked out. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So there's just so many things, and you have to factor into it as well that he's been off for so long, and what all this absence has done to him as well. It's like people say about Muhammad Ali. We missed the best of Muhammad Ali because he was suspended for that spell. And have we missed the best of Rumble? Because Rumble's only coming into his prime.
Because as
keep saying Rumble, best of John Jones.
Yeah, as a sportsman, if you're not able to be like in competition form, like be in like
you can
position,
spar all you want. But if you're not in competition against competitive fighters,
because there's a mental side. There's a mental side as well. Obviously, when you're sparring, you're not really like
like certain people go to sparring. It's like maybe you've got a doghouse, where you go there and it's life or death. You're gonna get hurt. No one's pulling punches in there. But in the same breath, that's still not a fight.
It's not enough.
Because it doesn't mimic a fight. There's not thousands of people there watching. There's not the bright lights that are making you hot. You're getting gassed out. You're exhausting. Because that's what happened with, let's say, Sugar Ray Robinson. He fought Joey Maxson, moved up to light heavyweight, carrying the extra weight, fighting under the bright lights. It's the only time he ever got stopped because he couldn't. He gassed up. It was too hot for him. He couldn't carry the weight. And fighting in a gym with, let's say, 10, 20 people, 30 people max watching you isn't the same as 1,000 people.
Thousands, 10,000.
Heavy lights on you, TV lights, all that kind of stuff. It's completely different.
The whole build, there's so much to it. So yeah, you're right. You know, I think that's a big factor. The fact that he's not been in competition form before. He's not in competition form at all. He's not fought anyone.
I'm trying to remember his last fight. What year that would have been? Pull it up, check it.
He's been banned for longer than a year, right?
He's been banned. So he got done for drugs last year. He came back and he got done for drugs just before UFC 200. But before that, he'd been out as well for all like the other drug stuff. Well, last year was performance enhancing drugs. And then before that was like the cocaine and the car crash and all that other stuff as well. So you just think he hasn't fought since, I would say, I'm going to guess 14, 15. So when did he last fight? Stripped of his belt, 2015. Yeah, so he got stripped of his belt 2015. And then
it's almost 2 years now.
If you pull it back, because that was when he got stripped. When did he last actually fight? Check. So if you just click, go to his wiki page and see when he last fought. He hasn't fought for ages. And you're thinking now, like, so he got stripped in 2015, April 2015, that's 2 years ago. So he hasn't fought for a minimum of 2 years. It could be longer than that. And you start thinking to yourself, someone that hasn't fought competitively, he's done like these silly, they're not silly, he's done like submission matches and stuff like that. But he hasn't fought for a long time. And you're thinking, it accumulates after a while.
It does accumulate because, like I said, that's a long time. Do you know what I mean? And it's obviously, like I said, that putting your body through, like I said, through in a competition is completely different. You see all these sprinters, you know they've got the talent, they've got the, you know.
It's also the training for it as well. So I could go to a gym knowing I'm not fighting, I'm just be training. But if you tell me I'm training for a fight, the intensity of my training kicks up a couple notches. Do you know what I mean? So it's all different. So
he was arrested in May 2012, driving under the influence. Jeez. And then it's a string.
Yeah, no, he's rap list. That was so enough. Yeah, his rap list of stuff he's done is meant. Go to his wiki page. Yeah. And then see when his last fight, because it's ridiculous. Like his rap list of stuff he's done is ridiculous. Even after he got back off that suspension for I think he got caught drag racing. He says he wasn't drag racing, but he got caught drag racing. And then even that, like, it's a guy that can't stay out of trouble.
It's disappointing because you said, you know, it's like
generational
talent.
He's like one of the dopest fighters I've seen in terms of everything he does. Like, he won the title so young. Like, he's such a dope fighter, but you get the impression that he's pissing up the wall. He's squandering it, and by the time he does come back, it might be too late. Do you know what I mean? So you just look at him and you're thinking, has he ruined it? Do you know what I mean? Because there are a lot of people picking Cormier to beat him at 200 last year. Hold on, let me see. His last fight would have been, if you go down to his record. So his last fight was Oven St. Preux, when he came back. 2016, but before that, because that was
2014. Yeah. So April 2014. Yeah. And then
2015 was Cormier. Oven St. Preux, I don't really count that because that was his one match back before he was meant to fight DC. Yeah. Lackluster performance, and people said he looked rusty, and that's the fight, and that's the exact point we're making here. He'd been off for so long that people thought, oh, he's rusty, and is it going to be a situation? Is it going to be an issue? And I think against better opposition, people said that if he'd fought DC that night and performed like that, he would have lost.
And his return fight.
Yeah. So that obviously proof fight, that performance, people slayed him for it. And if he'd fought DC like that, he would have lost that fight. So I don't know. Like the light heavyweight picture is really convoluted. And like we were saying, Rumble knocked out Jimmy Manuwa, but Jimmy Manuwa's on a good run right now, and he's talking about getting a title shot. There's so many people in that picture. So, but I genuinely believe if Rumble loses on Saturday, he's out of the picture at least for
Jones.
Do you know what I mean? Glover Teixeira doesn't really have a say in it. Gustafsson has been quiet for a little bit, but he's always someone that's going to be in the picture anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
That's the UFC picture. Is there anything else? Any other, like, you know?
So on Monday, Ariel Helwani had his MMA hour, and he had Khabib on, which is interesting. Like Khabib's first time talking since he missed the fight with Tony Ferguson, and I was speaking to it by my brother about it, and what I'm just gonna say is, God bless whoever he faces next, because this guy
that's your brother's boy as well.
Seems like
he's gonna kill someone.
He is gonna kill somebody. Like Ariel was asking questions, and all he was saying was, "I'm going to Germany to fix my body. I'm coming back in September after Ramadan." Like, the question could have been, "Oh, what kind of shoes are you doing?" "I'm going to Germany to fix my body. I'm coming back after Ramadan." Like, he seems like he's so intent. He apologized for missing weight and costing people the fight, because it was a fight everybody wanted to see. But he just seems so intent now to prove everybody wrong. Like, people seem to have written him off simply because he missed that weight. But I'm under no illusion that he probably would have beat Tony Ferguson and that it would have set up a fight between him and McGregor. But yeah, God bless whoever faces him next, because he just seems like he's ready to do somebody a damage. And we've seen it in him. He has it in him as well. When he was beating Michael Johnson, he was saying to him, bro, like, tap, I don't want to break your arm. Oh, don't make me smash your head in. Like, we know he's got it in him. Do you know what I mean? We've seen him wrestling with bears, and he trains in the mountains in Dagestan, throwing rocks about and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That's just bro, crazy, bro. That's like, this guy. I don't get why people doubt him. Innit? Like, I was arguing with one Irish guy, and there are people that are McGregor fans that aren't UFC fans or mixed martial arts fans, so they don't know better.
Yeah, that's another thing. So it's almost like Mayweather syndrome.
Yeah. I don't watch boxing, but I watch Mayweather.
Yeah.
And the same thing with McGregor. And there's a guy saying to me, "Oh, he's not even the best lightweight in the world." I said, "So who is? Do you honestly believe because McGregor has the belt that he's the best? Because he's clearly not."
Do you reckon? So if him would they ever like face up? Do you reckon?
To McGregor and Thingy, I think they're trying to keep them away from each other. Because it'll be a massive fight.
It'll be a massive. What it'll be? I think in terms of like, it will be a massive fight for the sport. Yeah. Generate a lot of money and whatnot. But if he batters McGregor, that's the half. That's pretty much the brand gone, right? That's
a lot, because obviously Ronda Rousey's gone already.
Yeah.
They don't want McGregor. That's why they don't want McGregor to fight Mayweather. Simply because if McGregor loses to Mayweather and he gets battered, it looks so bad for UFC. Even though it's not even a UFC fight, but it still looks bad.
Even as someone who's very, very, like never in a punch, I'm not really the biggest combat fan, but I watch all these fights, UFC and boxing. That Mayweather McGregor thing.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I wouldn't personally go and fight that fight simply because I know what the weight is on my shoulders. I don't think McGregor honestly believes he can beat Mayweather.
There's no way. It's just boxing as well.
It's just boxing, exactly. It's not mixed martial arts, it's just boxing. Mayweather's not dumb enough to step into that realm. He saw after Jamestown. He's not dumb enough. He knows that he beats him. He's 40 now. Even, I don't know what age you put him in, but his reflexes, even if you want to add age to it, his reflexes slow him down to a normal person. He has above average reflexes as in his prime. So it slows him down to a normal person now. McGregor doesn't land a glove on him. I don't care how fast people think McGregor is. He doesn't land a glove on him. Like other actual boxers, he's fought fast people. He's fought powerful people. He's fought bigger people. It doesn't matter what you think this guy seems to be. It's not that. He's not got a chance against Mayweather. I remember I was arguing with my brother about Ajita. He seems to think that McGregor's got a chance. I don't think he's got a chance. And like, it's nuts. But you see it, and he's the star and he's the face. Obviously, Ronda's gone. I don't think she's coming back after the beating in December.
But I think that's the thing you see. I realised that it's so easy for you to just go into the abyss after like 2 fights.
You can fall off the face of the earth. Yeah. But you know what it is UFC are trying to do now? They're trying to build other stars in it. So you've got like someone like Cody Garbrandt, for example. Obviously, beat Dominic Cruz. He's got the look. He's got the style because he knocks people out. He hurts people. Do you remember when he fought Dominic Cruz and he was body popping during the fight? And Dominic Cruz, obviously, like, we hadn't seen him lose like this before, and he kind of got dominated. So it was a bit mad, didn't it? Jesus Christ, Tottenham came back. Ain't that something?
Liverpool it's not finished yet. The fact that we submit podcast to celebrate Liverpool during 2-2. Hey, silver linings, bro.
We got G-Day, bro. But like, they're trying to build other stars because I think they're accepting that McGregor's star is somewhat shining brighter than the UFC. Like, he says stuff like F the UFC and it's like, it must bother them, innit?
Yeah, of course, it must burn. It's your biggest star. He's still under your brand.
Yeah, he's under your brand, but he talks so reckless.
He knows that. Reckless as well. He knows for a fact that you need him more than he needs you.
It, 100%.
You know what I mean?
So you can talk as reckless as you want. You are not going to turn around to him and say to him, we'll cancel your contract, F off. Yeah. Like, they had John Jones, he crashed out. They had Ronda Rousey, she crashed out. Other people aren't crossing over the way they want them to.
I think, it's because he's become so...
He transcends the sport.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Bigger than the sport.
And it's not even just about his side, it's just his whole persona.
That's it, 100%. So I see, like, I remember tweeting about him, I'd say about, what year would it be? About 2013, 2014, no one really thinks. You tweet about McGregor now, someone random who searches your name will hit you up and start telling you about McGregor. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's how he starts kind of growing. Like, people watch him on Insta and they love his videos. Like, do you remember they had the video of him singing along to gigs and Drake and that kind of thing? And that's the kind of thing people like. And it works for everybody because he's got white fans and Irish fans who love him because he's Irish, and he's got white fans who love him because he's white. Then he's got black fans who buy into him because it's like he buys into the culture. Yeah. When he fought in New York, he was wearing a Coogee jumper like Biggie and stuff. So he just crosses over. He hits all the targets. Everybody loves him. Do you know what I mean? There are people that think he's got a big mouth and I think he's cocky, but a lot of those people are, let's say, like MMA purists who don't really feel like he deserves the push that he's got. But to be fair, he does, because he backs it up. He says it himself. I talk bad shit, but I back
it's crazy because he's like, it's safe to say he's carried the brand. Literally, he's elevated. Carried is a big one, but he's elevated the brand because he's brought it to new audiences. And like you said, you said Khabib, he's UFC's bigger in that country purely because of him. I think that's why UFC probably has a march over like some other sports, because some of their stars are able to just try elevate the sports
in boxing,
to certain regions.
You used to have these people in boxing that carried the whole of the nation. Like you have the superstar Mexican fighter that everybody loves, Julio Cesar Chavez. You'd have the superstar Puerto Rican, that kind of thing. You don't really have those people now. Canelo's massive. Like Canelo's pay-per-view star. He's massive, innit? But he doesn't sell like Julio Cesar Chavez does. He's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez's son on Cinco de Mayo. And that fight's going to sell big, largely because the Chavez name, but also because Canelo is in it. And Cinco de Mayo.
All those three things.
All those things come together. But
wait, that's next month then?
Yeah, it's next month. Snap. But look at everything that has to come together for it to be massive. McGregor doesn't need that. McGregor doesn't. He can fight,
but he can fight a bum.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who he fights. He's gonna do all the talking that's gonna make it interesting. He's gonna turn up and make the fight interesting himself. He's got the fighting style that makes it interesting. That's what we're saying about Cody Garbrandt, because Cody Garbrandt has the look. He's got all the tattoos. He's a handsome guy. Ladies will like him. I don't think. His only problem is he fights at the lighter weights, and historically the lighter weights have never really got the shine. That's in boxing or thinking. The best fighter in the world, a lot of people say, is Mighty Mouse. The bigger hits. They're saying Mighty Mouse is widely regarded as the best fighter in the world, but because he's so small, no one really cares about him. He can't get in the pay-per-view. All these fights are on like Fox Sport and stuff like that, because he can't get on the pay-per-view. But McGregor carried, he's at the right weight, he's got the look, he's got the attitude, all that kind of stuff. Do you know who McGregor reminds me of? And it's nuts. It's a comparison a lot of people haven't really made. But he's like a Stone Cold Steve Austin in that he's anti-establishment. He says F UFC, and he's got that anti-hero thing where, I want to say, if I'm offending anybody...
That very much of a rebel.
Do you know what I mean? He's the rebel, do you know what I mean? And he's very much like that. And that's what WWE needed at the time, or WWF needed at the time when they were losing to WCW. And McGregor's come through and done the same thing for UFC. No one really compares UFC and boxing anymore. It's no longer Big Brother, Little Brother. Literally, they're catching up, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? And there's no comparison to be made, even if you want to compare them as sports, because they're two completely different sports. But as a boxing fan, you will look over and see there's a fighter in the UFC that's pretty much bigger than any fighter in the thing, or any active fighter. Obviously, Mayweather, if he was active, you'd say he's not bigger than him. But McGregor's star is now shining brighter than Pacquiao. Pacquiao shot himself in the foot with all those homophobic comments. And then his fighting style changed as well because of religion. He doesn't want to hurt people and stuff like that. McGregor doesn't care about hurting people, doesn't care about what he says. Just says what he likes.
Even at Pacquiao, I think that's crazy. But he doesn't want to. He changed his stuff. He doesn't want to hurt people.
He doesn't want to hurt people, and like even Freddie Roach says it. Like he doesn't fight to hurt people. He fights to win. He doesn't fight to beat people.
But isn't that as a fighter, any combat sport, you're supposed to have this killer instinct.
That killer instinct.
So if
but you know what the thing is with Pacquiao is that even without that killer instinct, that he's still better than I'd say 95% of people. Do you know what I mean? There's only a select handful of people that I would pick to beat.
Did that Mayweather fight pretty much ruin him?
I think his standing, like he came out, like what I didn't appreciate is the whole my shoulder stuff. You know? Like if you lost, you lost. Just say you lost, innit? Do you know what I mean? He started saying about his shoulder and all this other stuff, and I think it's weird because people try to use that against Mayweather as if to say, oh, you only beat him because his shoulder. But normally when someone's making excuses, remember David Haye and Klitschko? When he started complaining about his toe, everyone turned on David Haye, and it's like it's what people it shows how much people don't like Mayweather. That my man made excuses and it's still like, oh, it's Mayweather's fault for fighting him. And it doesn't matter. For me, Pacquiao isn't seen as the same, and I see people still trying to put him in a pound for pound list. He's still a dope fighter, but I don't know about putting him in there simply because like the level of opposition that he's fighting and all that kind of, like he's meant to be fighting someone called Jeff Horn. Have you ever heard of Jeff Horn before? Never heard of Jeff Horn. Some Australian guy. They don't know where he's fighting. Mir Khan was laughing at the fact that he's fighting because he was meant to fight Amir Khan. Like Jeff Horn, no disrespect to him, I think his last fight was against Zuniga in Australia. Like Zuniga hasn't fought top level for I don't know how many years, and he was fighting at welterweight. He was blown up. You know, like when someone reaches the later stage of their career and they move up in weight because they just can't move over to
they can't train. So they don't dedicate them to the weight before.
Do you know what I mean? So it says a lot about him. But Pacquiao pretty much done. Like they wanted him to fight Terence Crawford. I think I'd pick Terence Crawford to beat him, and they're saying that the long-term goal is for him to fight Mickey Garcia. Mickey Garcia could be the person that catches him at the right time and just gets him out of here. Do you know what I mean? I think right now, no one's really talking about Pacquiao. No one really cares about him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's mad. He fought a couple months ago,
and no one
cared. I remember I tweeted it like.
I remember I was like, "Wow, Pacquiao's fighting."
Yeah, I was like, mad.